Overseas tonight, the United States is reportedly warning Pakistan to move more forcefully against its homegrown Taliban. This tough new line follows charges that the man accused of trying to blow up Times Square had direct contacts with the Taliban. Mandy Clark is in Pakistan's capital this evening with more.
It was a brazen declaration of war in a video produced before but released right after the attempted bombing in New York. Hakimullah Masood, a terrorist from the tribal areas of Pakistan, promised multiple attacks on American cities. Few took him seriously. But the trail of evidence that starts in Times Square is leading investigators right back to the Pakistani Taliban. They now believe that the bomber, Faisal Shahzad, met Masood, the group's leader, in Waziristan. Formed in 2007, the Pakistani Taliban started out as a local movement, but quickly stepped up its campaign of violence, targeting U.S. and NATO supply bases. The government responded with a noisy crackdown on militant Islamists. But when the smoke cleared, the movement continued to grow stronger.
This is all that's left of what was once a religious school where clerics preached openly about holy war. But just there, inside Islamabad's notorious Red Mosque, they still insist that the Taliban is only giving the U.S. a taste of its own medicine.
The Americans have launched attacks here, says this cleric. Drone attacks that have killed many. Is that a just war? The drone attacks, which often kill civilian bystanders, are fueling anti-American sentiment here. The Taliban's ultimate enemy has always been the U.S.
Many people here think that is the epicenter of evil. You know, for them it is a big deal to strike at the epicenter of evil.
If investigators find that the Taliban managed to send a bomb into the heart of New York City, then the stakes of this deadly game have just been raised. Mandy Clark, CBS News, Islamabad.
In the battle to foil would-be terrorists, a new fight is unfolding in New York. The push for a massive deployment of cameras to watch for and possibly prevent the next attack. Elaine Quijano has details on that.
In Manhattan's financial district, cameras seem to be everywhere. In fact, New York City's police chief Ray Kelly wants more.
We live in a more dangerous world. I think cameras are helpful in that regard.
After 9/11, police began creating a surveillance web around Lower Manhattan. It will eventually include 1,000 police cameras and 2,000 local business cameras, which are fed live to a high-tech control room. The commissioner wants to expand that coverage to the tourist areas of Midtown, including Times Square, where 82 police cameras are trained at any given time.
Aren't you going to just push the terrorists into those areas where there aren't as many cameras?
Well, ideally, we'd like to increase cameras throughout the city. You know, in London, they have about 500,000 cameras.
Authorities in London created that vast network after a series of IRA bombings in the 1990s. The cameras have helped crack terror cases, including real-time tracking of suicide attackers in the 2005 London subway bombings.
Quite simply, I don't think that they've stopped terrorist attacks. I know it. I know from the way in which we've been able to use them for intelligence gathering and in the prosecution of manhunts.
It's estimated there are 4 million cameras in public spaces throughout Britain. That's one camera for every 14 people. Here in America, critics fear expanding camera surveillance could threaten civil liberties.
What happens to the data that comes from these cameras? Who's watching it? How long is it stored? What can it be connected to? That, frankly, can be pretty scary for citizens.
Commissioner Kelly disagrees.
All the pictures taken in the Lower Manhattan Security Initiative will be expunged after 30 days. So I think the world has moved beyond that issue.
Now, Commissioner Kelly says in the Times Square bomber case, it was a vehicle identification number, not surveillance cameras, that helped lead to an arrest. Still, the city is so convinced cameras are critical that Mayor Michael Bloomberg will visit London next week to get a first-hand look at the system there. Jeff?
Elaine Quijano in Times Square this evening. Elaine, thank you.